At the same time, you still are playing for yourself in the contract. I mean, you have a chance to get a guaranteed contract for the rest of the year. So,
Well,
I mean, is that in your mind too when you're playing?
Well, I don't really try to play for myself. I try to play this to help the team. Whatever I can do to help the team, that's what's best. If you try to think individually and stuff, then you kind of get sidetracked, and you might think, oh, winning is everything in this league. And I feel like if we don't win, or if I don't do anything to help my team win, then I feel like I'm hurting myself and hurting the team. So for me, it's not about individual stats and individual play. It's about just whatever I can do to help my team win, I'm going to try to do.
At the same time, you haven't had a game like this in a while. You just got to reaffirm in yourself that you can play at this level and you can put out games like that. I mean, that's got to be a confidence booster for you, I would think. Right?
It is, but at the same time, we lost. I like to win. I'd rather have 2 points and get the win and be satisfied and be happy with that because it's a win. We lost, and it doesn't really matter, whatever I did.
When you see a guy like Jeremy Lin go from being cut from the Rockets to starring in New York, does that plot line just play through your head at all?
I mean, of course. When you're, coming from the D League and you sign, 10 days, of course, it brings light, to, an individual like myself or somebody else who's trying to, get back in the league or, take those footsteps again that he once took before. But it does see some light. I don't think I'm Jeremy Lin. I think that he's a much chance player. He's doing a great job in New York. That's an unbelievable story. But I'm like I said, I'm so happy to be here. I can't thank this organization more than enough.
How do you think you've changed as a player since your last stint in the NBA to now?
I think my defense is a lot better. My defense intensity is always there. I think that my IQ is stronger than it was before. My IQ. I was fresh out of high school. I was young, immature. Was just trying to play off, just all athleticism instead of just, trying to play with your brain. And I think that's one thing about me going overseas is it helped me a lot just trying to play, using my head instead of trying to use my athleticism.
Was there a particular person that had an impact on you, team?
You know what?
Coach?
I'll have to say my D-League team. You know what? Coach Eric Musselman, man, he did a hell of a job. Well, excuse me, he did a great job.
That's good. That's better.
He did a great job of, really motivating me, really pushing me every day in practice when I was in when I was in LA. So I have to really give my credit to him, and of course, you gotta give your credit to him. I wouldn't be here if God, when accepted me here. So most definitely, I gotta give those credits to those guys.
Is it difficult avoiding hitting your face on the rim?
I don't get that high,
You're pretty high. That's ridiculous.
You know what? It ain't like that. I don't see it. A lot of my teammates say I'll be high. I never see it. I'm always looking at the ball and making sure it goes in. I'm not looking at where I'm at, or what level I'm at, height. So I've hit my head on the rim a couple number of times. That was in high school.
Who told you? Now you're more aware.
So that's why you're like going up now.
Which teammate told you to do a little something special the next time you got a chance?
You know what? Deshaun told me to do something. D. Will told me to do something. Everybody's always giving me just ideas of what to do. They're always saying to me, next time just do something nasty. When I got my dunk in, I think it was Boston, I had a breakaway. And everybody said they stunned up, and they was like, man, next time you do get a dunk, it doesn't matter, if we're winning or losing. Just try to do something for the fans here, for New Jersey, show the fans that you're a Duke player, just what you can bring to the team. And like I said, it was a good play, but we lost. So thanks.
Cool.
What major D-League place you thought would get you to the NBA in this last season?
I just didn't want to go overseas. The overseas, that's just not my life. That's not my style. I don't speak the language, so it's hard. It's hard to eat. It don't get me wrong. It's a great opportunity. I had a great time in Russia and China. I had a great time over there. Those two countries are unbelievable. But I didn't dream of being overseas. I didn't wake up. I didn't work hard every day when I was little and dreamed of me playing in Russia. I dreamed of, this has always been a dream of mine to play in the NBA. So that's one thing I didn't want to be so far. I feel like me being overseas, I was just lost. A lot of players can get a contact with me and then they couldn't see me play. So just me being in the D League, being in the States, a lot of people kind of keep up with me, see how I'm doing, and see my development and things like that. So that's probably the biggest reason why I stayed.
You said Coach Musselman had a big impact. What specifically? I mean, he was a defensive guy, so he was a defensive end. But what specifically helped you?
Just every day, man. He just stayed on. He rolled me. I mean, he just rolled me, and it was like, it wasn't in a negative way. It was always like in a positive way. Like, he always, like, if I did something good, he always like, well, you could do that better. Even if he was real good, he'd be like, yeah, Joe, you did this good, but do it better. Like, okay, Joe, you made that shot, make 2 more. Everything he did, he was like, Joe, you're being focused, but be more focused. It was like everything that I did, he was like, try to strive to be better at whatever you're doing. If he said, Joe, you can jump higher. It was just everything I did. It was like he never wanted me to settle for it. He always wanted me to try to strive to get better. I mean, I had that. I've taken that and just ran with it. Because I don't take anything for granted, because I never know when this might be my last time in the league.
Right. I mean, you talked about maturing. Is that is stuff like that? Like when you were in Boston, if somebody had said that kind of stuff to you, you probably would have said, that's a bunch of crap. I don't.
You know what? I probably I wouldn't have said that. I just probably wouldn't have understood. I'm like, wow.
I didn't mean to say. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's probably the thing. In my younger days, is that when people try to tell me something, I just didn't understand how to take it, because I was fresh out of high school. I was taught, but I was taught things differently than how they. This is a business. This is professional. This is a business. You got to treat it like a business. High school is all fun and games. You go AAU, you play games. You have do all this.
You win dunks all the time.
Yeah, for fun, but this is more of a business. You got to really conduct yourself like a professional. And in my younger career, I did a terrible job of that, and it showed. But hopefully, I'm thank God I got another chance, and I'm just trying to not take this for granted and trying to do everything I can possibly, hopefully to help my team and try to stick.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Good game.
I mean, does this make you get confidence from it?
Yeah, definitely. Especially, obviously Gerald, that huge game he had, man. That's huge for his confidence, man. He's just been playing so well and had a great attitude and had probably the best dunk I've ever seen in my life in the NBA game. in my life, for real.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, he always been that kind of hard-working guy, man. So I'm happy for him. MarShon had a great game. So it's good for guys to, really step up when they got the opportunity.
What is it about this team? I mean, the other teams in your situation might have given up, stopped playing as hard. But what is it that keeps this team motivated right now?
Man, we're a close team. Everybody's motivated. Everybody wants to play well. Coach is motivated. Coaching staff motivated. So, I mean, we've been playing through tough circumstances all year. And one thing about Avery, he's not gonna let us use that, as an excuse not to play hard. So we knew we looked each other in the eyes at halftime. We had to believe in ourselves that we was gonna win the game. And we did a good job coming out there and doing it.
That final possession, was that tough to miss that? I know you've been in that situation before and hit that shot.
Yeah, but I mean, team scout, so I had to shoot over a 7. I don't know who it was, but it is what it is, man. Can't make all of them, but I'll shoot that shot every single day of my life.
That's what I was going to ask you. You happy with the look you had?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough look. It wasn't as open as it usually is, but I mean, you can't expect to keep getting the same look. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially in short clock situations and stuff like that. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. It was tough. It was down. And, like I said, I love to shoot that shot any other time.
All right. Had the opportunity. Had the ball in my hands a lot, and I was being a playmaker off the ball screen. So I was making the right plays, making the shots. Shots draw to and kick.
Looked like you got the touchback on the fadeaway today. Also, had the touchback on turnaround a couple times with guys on you.
I shot it with confidence instead of thinking. Just tried to knock my defender back and just try to shoot over. And, basically shot it with confidence. I knew what I was going to do ahead of time. So it felt like a good team.
MarShon, just after kind of a furious comeback, that big third quarter, and then, you know, taking the lead in the fourth, what did this one feel like, just the last few possessions down the stretch?
Last couple possessions, we didn't execute like we wanted. Obviously, you see we didn't get a shot out at the end of the game.
You know what?
We just,
I'm just so glad to be in this situation. It don't matter.
We just didn't execute well. Partially on myself. Had an isolation play where it felt like I made a pretty good move, but the rookie Chandler Parsons made a better play and blocked the shot. And that was the difference in the game.
What did it feel like though in this when you have no Darren to start out and you can make all the excuses on the back-to-back, but the fact that, I mean, you had such balanced scoring in this one, everybody really kind of stepped up.
I think it was a confidence boost for everybody. You know, not only myself, G played great. He played great off the bench. Anthony, he did what he do. Farmer in the show. So, you know, we all believed in ourselves before the game. We wasn't thinking, oh man, no Darren, we're doomed. We wasn't thinking like that. We always felt like we had a chance to win the game. We came up short, but we fought hard, and I feel like our fans could appreciate it.
You had the pass on that alley-oop that was on time, on target, as Avery always says. What did you think of the dunk?
Oh, nah. Once I seen him, and he pointed up, I just got this. My job just put it in the rim, put it up there by the rim. I don't think.
You didn't see it?
I saw him. Once I seen him streak, and I said, well, I seen the defender look at me. I just got to put it at the rim. I don't think it mattered where I put the ball. He was gonna go get it anyway. So, you know, and I threw it, I guess, low enough for him to have some fun with it. So, he went up and won it up. So it was great.
Nice one. Thanks.
Just after this furious comeback you had, it just seemed like the last maybe 4 plays at the end that kind of decided it. Can you just tell me, take me through some?
Well, first of all, what a great second half by our guys. You know, we weren't playing very good and efficient in the first half. We were kind of feeling sorry for ourselves, especially with Darren not being here. But they picked it up in the third quarter. You know, furious run that we had. And then at the end of the game, just a couple of plays here and there, we actually tipped the ball in, which was a tough break for us. And you can see 2 or 3 of our guys were going up to get the rebound. You know, we committed a foul. That was an untimely foul. You know, we couldn't get the ball in the basket. But again, our guys really played hard. You know, for us to get, you know, 6 guys in double figures and shoot 53% from the field, score 106 points on a back-to-back night is good. It's just our defense wasn't very good tonight.
Gerald Green, obviously, a great game for him. And what are your thoughts on the game? And just for somebody who's been in that situation, that had a 10-day contract, does it make you feel any more?
It feels great because Gerald's been really professional and he's worked hard since he's been here. His attitude's been good, polite young man. And, you know, this is a kid that you root for. Okay, he's been through a lot. But you look at what he's done, what he did tonight. Even on defense, I thought he was very competitive defensively. But, you know, made some big shots for us, made some threes. You know, had one that didn't go down for us late in the game, but you can't fault his effort. He was one of the real reasons why we got back in the game.
What do you think's developed in his game that put him in position to succeed here?
More than anything, defensively, he's competing. You know, he helped us win that game last night. Offensively, he's doing a good job of mixing up his game, putting the ball on the floor. He's doing a nice job of posting up. Obviously, you know, he can catch lobs for us. We haven't had a guy all year that can do that. He jumps higher than, you know, a lot of guys, especially in transition. So, you know, Gerald's doing a nice job of keeping it simple. He's taking good care of the basketball, and, you know, glad that he's doing. You know, we need that type of energy, especially at the 3 position.
And with Darren out, was that the kind of games you were looking for from Jordan and MarShon as well?
Yeah, in the pregame, like we talked about, we needed to spread around our scoring, and we got it spread out pretty nicely tonight. So again, that's what we're going to need, especially with Darren being inside.
Hey, what did you think of that dunk, the windmill dunk part?
Man, yeah, I've seen a lot in my career, but that was pretty special. Pretty special. And, you know, it was a great on-time, on-target pass, and I guess that's going to make a lot of highlights. Unfortunately for us, I wish he would have made some highlights with us winning the game.
Is it frustrating for you that at night when you guys finally have the kind of shooting performance you've been looking for here, you guys give up 56% on the other side?
Yeah, it is. We gave him too many open threes. Dragic got inside of our defense a little too much. Courtney Lee scored for him coming off the bench. But it wasn't because we didn't have the right type of effort. We were in their faces sometime, even when we switched the zone. But, you know, Budinger makes a 3 on us with 1 second to go on the clock. So a couple of tough breaks there. And like I said earlier, you know, we tipped the ball in the basket there at the end, just a tough play.
Did MarShon show you something with his passing that you might not have seen before?
Yeah, he really created for us off the dribble. You know, for him to get 7 assists, that's the kind of game we're looking for him to, you know, consistently give us. You know, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, you know, get a couple of steals for us. He didn't get any tonight, and scored the ball. He made some tough shots off the dribble. That's what we were looking for when we drafted him.
Avery, were you looking to get a better shot than the one that Morrow took? It was like 20-20 shot clock, 20 seconds ago.
Yeah, but you know, Morrow, you know, posting him up on the right side, he was the reason why we got back in the game. So sometimes you got to give defenses credit. It's not always the play or the player that has the ball. It's sometimes the defender, and the defender played really good defense on it.
Did you think about calling a timeout there?
Thought about it, but you know, we were down to 1 there. You know, we burned some early in the game, and we thought about it, but we thought we could get a good shot.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.